Hey folks, it's us, podcasting wonderkins John Bishop and Lucas Southworth.
Although this is a podcast about cars, it is not age appropriate for the target demographic of these films, as we usually end up talking about the reproductive organs of Lightning McQueen.
Alright, now let's take a look under the hood.
Hello, Internet, and welcome to Food Theory. Tonight, we'll be discussing chicken wings. Are they chickens? Are they wings? What's a car? And I'm John Bishop.
I'm vetoing that intro.
But it's so accurate as to what we're talking about, because guess what? Nothing matters anymore.
It's true. We are the Chat. We're the only podcast brave enough to ask the question, hey, what's up with cars? We're not Food Theory. I don't know why you always bring up the show Food Theory. I'm Lucas Southworth, but nothing does matter anymore.
Probably because of release schedule. I think they release the Food Theories on Sunday.
Yeah, we can't reveal to them that we record on Sunday, the day before it comes out. That can't be.
Clearly, I'm talking about the Sunday a week and a day before.
Yes, thank you, John. Thank you, John. And thank you to Disney Plus Day for giving us something. I'm gonna level with you folks. In our plan, and John, we never talked about this, but it was the plan for this to be our Cars 3 rewatch episode, since it's 100 episodes past when we first watched Cars 3.
Okay. But
yeah.
instead, let's talk about the fact that if you check Disney Pixar's Cars, the Twitter, you'll see a wonderful post about Cars on the Road, which is, of course, a series that's going to be on Disney Plus.
Formerly known as Untitled Cars series. It ain't Untitled no more, folks, and gosh, there's some concept art. And John, before we talk about exactly what's in this concept art, can I tell you what my biggest worry about Untitled Cars series, now Cars on the Road, was before they tweeted this out?
I'd be hurt if you didn't.
So it seems like Cars had a certain trajectory, right? Like Cars 1 was a little silly but pretty grounded. And then they moved into the Cars 2, Mater's Tall Tales, Planes, and Planes Fire and Rescue era, which got pretty silly and pretty wild and gave us a lot of content.
Pretty buck wild.
Yeah, but then it seemed like Pixar was like, okay, we've had our fun, let's get back to our roots, and made the most grounded of any of the Cars media, Cars 3. So I was worried that when this Disney Plus original series came out, it was going to be like that. A very grounded look at just two friends, Mater and Lightning, as they travel across the United States, very character-driven, and just, quite frankly, not that much content for us. And, John, I'm no longer worried about that.
Well, we described it as concept art, but I would go so far as to say it's more high concept art.
Yeah, that's...
Because it transcends the idea of, oh, this is just a glimpse of what we'll be exploring, and it's more of, this is the epitome of how buck wild can we get? And the answer's pretty buck wild.
I was worried that we wouldn't be able to do sort of like an episode of our podcast for an episode of the show. Now I'm worried we won't be able to cover a single episode of the show in like 10 episodes of our podcast.
All right. That's fair enough.
Yeah, we should tell them what's in the concept art, I guess.
All right. So let's describe the images. The first one is, of course, just the logo. It's Cars on the Road. It's really boring. It's Cars on the Road.
Yeah.
And then we get to if you scroll to the right, you will see Cave Lightning and Cave Mater being chased by dino trucks.
Yeah.
Yep.
There's no other way to put that.
Do you know what dino trucks is? Because dino trucks, it's an existing property about dinosaurs that are trucks, and they're dino trucks, and they're in this, and they're in it, and they're dinosaurs, but they're not dinosaurs. Even though we know dinosaurs are a thing, they're not dinosaurs. They're dino trucks.
Yeah, it's so important to know like we're not talking about a crane that looks sort of like a dinosaur. It's straight up just like Mecha Godzilla with some wheels.
Yes, this is in fact just Mechagodzilla and Pal, and they're just dinosaurs, and they're robots, and instead of legs, they have tires.
Yeah, I guess we could. Well, let's go ahead and talk about all three of the concept arts. Then we can deep dive into each, which I'm sure we're going to do.
All right. My nickname for today's episode is, of course, based on the next image, and that is, of course, it's Mad Max.
It's just Mad Max. Lightning and Mater are
Yep.
there.
And they're like everyone's cars, but it's Mad Max. Like there are, count them, 4 flamethrowers.
One of it which being carried by one Tow Mater, who also has a spiked flail instead of a hook.
Because of course, why not? And for some reason, the imagery on this one is like uncomfortably Native American, because they're like 4 maybe more feathered headdresses, and I don't know why.
Yeah, one on one who I've got us. That's Lightning, right? Right next to
Yes.
Mater. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
One on Lightning, and they're like blades and like a mohawk, and that's a lot. There's also a car being carried by 4 smaller cars,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know what's going on with that. I don't know if they're like his tires or what's up. But then the last one, which is somehow the most normal of all of them, but I'm pretty sure it's Bigfoot.
Well, the thing is, well, first off, it's Big Wheel,
It's Big
but
Wheel, yeah.
it's Big Wheel, but it's just a monster truck, and they haven't done anything else to make it like monstrous. It's just like a big car. That's it. And lightning is running from him because why not?
Trust me, I know. Like, but it's a monster truck in a forest.
It's a
So
monster truck in a forest at night. And if you're wondering, like, well, maybe he's never seen a monster truck before.
he's been
Well,
a
we know
monster
he
truck.
has. He's been a monster truck. And also, in the image before that, there is a monster ice cream truck.
Yeah. So the long and short of it is, it seems like we're going even past Cars 2 wackiness, all the way back to Mater's Tall Tales levels of wackiness. And geez, folks, I can't wait for the fall of 2022.
Okay. Okay. So we're going to wait a year, and we're going to
Somehow.
have another year of the podcast will go by,
Yeah.
and we'll be on episode 160, and then all of a sudden this podcast will receive a revitalization as unto a new series that will make everything we've talked about somehow tame.
Oh, yeah. Like, I was not joking when I said when this show comes out, we are going to become one of those podcasts that's an episode of a television show equals an episode of our podcast, at least for the duration of the show.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what else can we do? I don't care if it all comes out at once. We will spread it week to week because how, again, if you have seen these images, how could we not?
If you want an example of that, let's just go into that first image again.
Yeah.
All right, we see 2 mech Godzilla's trucks that seem really happy, And let's talk about just one single part of this picture that I'm just going to fixate on real quick.
Can I guess?
Yeah,
The stubble?
it is not the stubble.
Okay.
It is not the stubble on either Neanderthal Mater or McQueen. It is the fact that, as we have discussed, when you can see certain parts of a car, like if you were to have a hydraulic lift and all of a sudden you see, I don't know, Ramon's undercarriage, and you can see like the part right in the middle of his tires,
Okay,
you
yeah.
could say, oh, these people are shocked because that's clearly his taint. Well, you see, this dinosaur has an extremely visible taint.
He does.
It's very visible. Like his crotch is a weird focal point of this image.
Yeah, the eyes are sort of drawn to it. Like
Mm-hmm.
all lines kind of lead to it when
Mm-hmm.
you sort of take it in. The road, the line of his tail, the eye line of the second dinosaur, they're all
Mm-hmm.
pointing to it.
I have just received a message from one of the Lizzes, and it says, "Stop talking about taints."
I mean, sorry, but we're just quite frankly not going to do that.
That's fair and true, and I heard her giggle when she heard me say it.
Yeah, that was probably the idea.
So, like a setting sun, the focal point of this image is, of course, the Dino Robotang. So that's something.
This was a
Oh boy.
podcast about a series of children's movies. It still
Hmm.
is, but I don't know. Sometimes I just think about that. Can we talk about their stubble?
Let's talk about their stubble.
Like
We've
we,
seen weird depictions of hair before,
yeah,
like the man who clearly had a toupee that was a part of his body. But these two cars clearly have stubble. And really, really intense brows because they're Neanderthals, but that's like, oh, it's just part of the metal. They are growing facial hair.
yeah, like, and again, I'll establish this is concept art. Maybe it is going to be a weirdly grounded show, and they're just were like, "Yeah, we drew these cool pictures of Lightning Mater as caveman, and we want to tweet them out." Sure, this might not be representative of the show, but it's all we have right now, and they gave them facial hair. And like, okay, how could that possibly work with what we know about the cars, John?
As they like to do, it could just be some like dirt, grime, or rust.
Yeah, that was my number one guess. Is just either that or some stuff's got stuck to them.
If you look closely at Neanderthal McQueen, you'll notice that there's a lot of like brown in that paint job. And maybe it's rust, maybe it's dirt, but the thing that's troubling is it's centered around his forehead and temples, and then really centered around his mouth.
Yeah,
So does he eat rust? Does he eat dirt?
I mean, I guess like
And Mater's just completely brown, and we know that's rust.
what's really confusing me about this, and I know we haven't come up with an answer for stubble, but we won't from this drawing. You know, I don't
Mm-hmm.
know. It's something stuck to them. Is they've depicted Lightning and Mater as sort of technologically unadvanced, like they have stone wheels. Lightning seems to have like a bamboo spoiler, and Mater's hook is also made of like bamboo and stone and vines.
Mm-hmm.
But then we pan upwards to the Mecha Godzillas,
Mm-hmm.
and they are the exact opposite. They are incredibly technologically advanced. They've got like great axles and rubber tires, and so I don't know what.
Oh, and the high robot also has just some weed smoke coming from his horn nose.
That's true.
And if you look at his eyes, yes, he's high.
Oh, I didn't even see his eyes. I thought they didn't depict them, but I see what you're talking about. Yeah,
Oh
he's
no,
real
he's
squinty.
very high,
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
which I assume they both are because if you look at the other one's eyes, there's like a reddish tint and a glaze over his eyes. That's why they're so shiny. And also, neither of them are able to focus. And like, say what you will, uh, the marijuana, it gives you the munchies. And
Yeah.
maybe these two high dinosaurs are just chasing down these creatures because they're hungry. But even worse, they're not focused at all. Like, if you look at this image, the robots aren't looking at the prey they're chasing.
Yeah, sort of looking past them, both of them.
Hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Here's my guess. I'm going to say we've already established that Lightning and Mater are sort of styled after Neanderthal. And let me tell you, folks, Neanderthal didn't make it. So I'm going to say the dinosaurs, being the more technologically advanced ones, are actually the ones who evolved into today's cars. Not the ones
Okay.
who look actually like today's cars, because, I don't know, they already look so much more evolved.
Well, one bit of trouble with that is that, well, as we all know, uh, the lizard people that rule our society are, of course, the descendants of dinosaurs that survived.
Of course.
But also, um, I think that's Mater and Lightning. I don't think that that's like cavemen who happen to look like them. I think that they go back in time, or they go forward in time, or these stories happen, and they just transform into whatever they need to transform into to be of that time. Or maybe even worse, they transform into what they think they need to be in. Like, he gets the stone tires because he thinks he's supposed to have stone tires, even though clearly the dinosaur truck doesn't have stone tires.
Yeah, like, I don't know, man. And, like, I know we've seen Mater's Tall Tales and Time Travel Mater, and there is, weirdly enough, precedent for this. But, like, I just don't see how they're going to justify this in a show about a road trip. Uh,
Well,
they gonna
haven't
go
you
to the
ever been on a
past.
road trip that results in you being transformed into a creature from either Mad Max or, I don't know, dinosaur times?
Like, even okay, Bigfoot. Sure, they could run into Bigfoot. Sorry, Big Wheel whenever on their road trip. Mad Max. Mad Max is a lot,
Hmm.
but is I could see it possibly occurring on a road trip that they met a group of people, warrior people, and were like, hell yeah, let's do it. Let's dress up like them and kill some people, I guess. It's not really in character, but it seems to be what's happening. But, like, going to the past, and again, I know we've been to the past before, but usually they don't really acknowledge Mater's tall tales. I, I, I'm excited to find out how that happens. I
Hmm.
guess is what I'll go with.
Okay. Well, that's one exciting image. Not only are there dinosaurs, not only are there cavemen, main characters that we know and love, uh, there's also, like, clearly some sort of weed is involved. And then let's talk about something a little less exciting, a little more calm down, because, not all of these can be winners. Let's skip ahead to It's Just Big Wheel.
Yeah, and I mean, we've done episode 6, cryptozoology. We've already theorized that there could be a big wheel.
Hmm.
At
I've
first,
got
go ahead.
a question.
Yeah,
You look at these three images, and what's one common thing in them?
Lightning McQueen.
Hmm. But in two of the three,
Yeah,
you also have Mater.
uh huh.
What if this isn't Big Wheel? What if this is a werewolf Mater?
I would enjoy that quite a bit. Looking at him, okay, looking at him, he doesn't. He has some resemblance to Mater, but, like, his headlights are very clearly different.
As a werewolf's might be?
Yeah, sure. I think it's probable. I'm gonna stick by the fact that Lightning McQueen has stumbled across the cryptid Big Wheel, but I would enjoy a story where Mater has contracted lycanthropy quite a bit.
Okay, so either way, there is some sort of mythical creature element to this story. And my hope is that it's a werewolf mater. We will have to wait to find out, but let's see if monster trucks are as monstrous as they seem to be.
Yeah, okay. I do want to just. How would. Do we want to get into how lycanthropy would work in the Cars first at all, now that you've brought it up?
Well, of course, a werewolf in our world gets lycanthropy from a few sources, one of which is a curse, another one is a bite or a scratch. I don't know if there is a single one in which you contract the condition via a car,
God, I'd watch that though. If
but
there
I
is,
do
let us
know
know.
of a media in which that is a thing.
All right, I'm ready to hear it.
That is, of course, Futurama.
Ooh, okay.
There's an episode of Futurama in which Bender becomes a werecar.
Man, do we have to do an origins about that? Because that sounds pretty good.
Well, the problem with that is that most of our theories revolve around the idea of cars being basically in our timeline,
Mm-hmm.
or maybe just a little bit in the future. And Futurama is, of course, 1,000 years in the future.
Okay, that's fair enough. But there is precedent, it sounds like, of
Mm-hmm.
where carism.
Mm-hmm. And it's pretty great because what happens is he gets the disease because I think he gets hit by a werecar.
That's fun.
So he gets hit by a werecar and he transforms into a car.
Cool. Yeah, that works for me.
So maybe Mater is like trying to give a lift to someone who's run down and they ran out of gas and they're just in the middle of the woods one day. Mater stumbles upon him, finds him, tries to help him out, but it takes him a little bit too long, and it's nighttime all of a sudden, and he turns back into a werewolf, and then he gets hit. Mater gets hit by a were car and becomes one.
Yeah, that works well enough for me. I do. Okay, I just remembered something that I found that isn't as exciting as the Mad Max, so I feel like we should also do it before Mad Max. But I've just sent you a thing in the chat here, and it is more exciting in a lot of ways because it is a full render of Mater that they've put on a little banner ad for things that are upcoming. And it is Mater with what seem to be like jet engines attached to him, as well as retractable landing gear underneath him. So,
Okay, I'm not seeing the retractable landing gear, I don't think, but I'm seeing the rest. And boy howdy, he's just being turned into a strange kind of plane.
yeah, which,
And
like,
and we've seen him be a plane before.
we in the planes crossover Mater's Tall Tale, we have seen that. But, like, I think what excites me most about this image is that it's not concept art. Is that if they went through the trouble of making a fully realized render of Mater as a weird jet plane, then that means it's almost certainly going to happen in the show.
Mm-hmm.
Which means,
Which is wild because again, what we were expecting was a down to earth road trip, like them just talking kind of thing, and then like something interesting might happen around them. But no, it seems every episode, except maybe the one where they're finding a cryptid, uh, someone for sure is being transformed physically.
yeah, like, and don't get me wrong, I think that if they had gone with the weird grounded character dive into Mater and Lightning, then we would have had plenty to talk about in terms of, like, they would have given us new lore. We would have seen a random bicycle or something, and we would have talked about that for 3 hours. But yeah, it's not what we were going for. It's not what we were mentally prepared for, I'll say.
And with how this image looks, I don't know how the transformations occur in every episode, but this just seems to be that someone has like tacked on and maybe welded to Mater a bunch of metal.
That sounds about right, man. I am Googling Air Mater real quick just to triple check that this isn't just his look from Air Mater. Yeah, no, he like fully he gets like wings, not
Mm-hmm.
jets in Air Mater, and he's fully painted red and blue.
So he
So
doesn't look more like War Machine in that picture?
no, he does not.
Because that's what this look says to me right now, is this is a War Machine Mater, except less visible guns.
Yeah, but we've learned with Mater and Cars too, the guns don't have to be visible to be there, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Man, I am just more and more excited every day. They even gave him a hood. He doesn't usually even have one, and they gave him one in this one.
Mm-hmm. Which, of course, does mean he's going to be doing a really nasally impression of himself.
Yeah, that's usually what happens when he gets a hood. I don't particularly care for it. Uh, but by the way, just before we get any further, if you want to look at any of these images, I've already tweeted out the concept art on our Twitter, and I will find. I will also tweet this official render of Mater as some sort of space airman as well. So there you go.
Oh boy. Oh
They're
boy.
getting. This is another lesser thing. They're getting Owen Wilson and Larry the Cable Guy. They're both officially returning for it.
Mm-hmm. And that's a lot. That's just a lot to take in.
Yeah, because usually in the not movies, it's a guy named Keith Ferguson doing Lightning.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. Maybe just he did Mobius, and he was like, Disney Plus is a cool little platform. I'll do Cars on the Road, I guess. Do we want to do a bit where we try to think of a better name than Cars on the Road?
Cars Road Trip.
Yeah, like I don't know, man. That's a boring name.
Cars on the road. Like how cars usually are.
Where cars be. No, I get
Mm-hmm.
it. I was thinking maybe Cars the Mother Road if they were doing Route 66 specifically, but I don't know that that's what they're doing. What about Cars? Let's get weird with it.
Cars, but it's a bit kooky.
Mater's Tall Tales, but this time it's definitely canon.
Mater's slightly taller tails.
They may not be slightly taller. His tails get pretty tall in Mater's Tall Tales, but I think they're going to have a harder time pretending these aren't canon.
Mater's wide tails.
Yeah, there we go. Don't get me wrong. Our stance on Mater's Tall Tales being canon has not changed whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but it's easier to argue that Mater's Tall Tales didn't happen than I think it will be for this, the official spin off show they're making, in
Mm-hmm.
which they're turning Mater into a jet plane and maybe giving us dinosaurs and Mad Max and Big Wheel.
Yep. Uh, I got it.
You got it, John. Go for it.
Mater's Girthy Boys.
Okay, that's it. That's our official suggestion for the name of the car spinoff is Mater's Girthy Boys.
I thought of one that I like even more.
Yeah, okay, but if you say it, we got to get rid of Mater's Girthy Boys. So make sure you like it more than Mater's Girthy Boys.
Cars Thick Boys.
John, I gotta be honest with you. I much preferred Mater's Girthy Boys was much funnier in my head. I don't know that I preferred it.
But how many C's did it have? Because this one has at least two in just the word thick.
Well, John, we've stalled long enough. You want to talk about how they did Mad Max Fury Road, but on our two boys, Lightning and Mater?
Okay, yeah, let's talk about that. Okay, so in cars, they're in Radiator Springs, and the whole point of Radiator Springs is cars would overheat and they'd get run down, and then it burst the radiators, and they needed coolant, and there was a spring, and it would have water or maybe coolant. So, what is the driving force in the most recent Mad Max movie?
I haven't seen it, but I gotta assume it's water from what you're implying.
Yeah, if we're not talking like storyline, what's the motivator? It like that's I guess the air quotes princesses but it's water. Like that's how Immortan Joe has so much power. He controls the water. So maybe it's just that. Maybe it's just an exploration of, hey, what really happened with the founding of Radiator Springs? And actually, it wasn't Stanley was just this nice guy who was really generous. It was he stumbled upon this absolute mad lad world where people were going crazy and killing people over water or coolant. And that was Radiator Springs at that time. And then guess what? It's just Mater and Lightning go back in time and help Stanley overturn this Immortan Joe figure, Mad Max style. And we find out that Stanley killed a lot of folks.
I mean, I can't even argue because, like, I don't know, man. We already have established time travel in this world. Like, do they know how hard it's gonna be for me to fight off your crazier theories if they've established time travel canonically in the Cars verse?
Oh, all bets are off. As soon as that is canon in such an official and like powerful way, there's nothing. The sky is not the limit because we can go much further than that.
We can go to infinity and beyond.
Hmm.
Also, real quick, I want to apologize for us doing 2 episodes in a row, one about a minute long teaser trailer, the next about 3 pieces of concept art, 4 pieces of art now. But I don't know. You know what you signed up for. Uh,
And if you didn't, still not sorry.
yeah, we're having fun, and I think we produce a good podcast. I'm proud of it. Okay, I really like your theory, and I don't have a better one, so there we go. I do want to talk about the fact that I feel like a flamethrower would be much less effective against cars than against people.
I mean, what was the theory?
Water.
Cars are overheating.
Okay, yeah, okay. There you go. You've
So,
you've done
like,
it, Johnny.
we stumbled into this is the perfect explanation. This is clearly they go back in time, there's an overheating problem, and Stanley, the founder of Radiator Springs, kills some folks.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a better way to put it, I guess. Some of their weapons remind me very much of battle bots.
Hmm.
Like one's got what seems to be a swinging articulated hammer, very much in the style of battle bots. That doesn't really have a lot to do with anything. I just thought it was fun.
Yep.
I just like talking about battle bots sometimes. I think y'all
Hmm.
know that. Probably John likes it more than me, if I'd have to guess.
I
But
well, my brothers had some like mini battle bots that they could build, and it was real fun because
nice.
I found them, took them apart, fixed them back up, but like didn't get them all that working because again, just spinning blades, and I was a kid.
That's fair.
Uh, so in the Mad Max scene, there is of course that ice cream truck I mentioned.
Yeah, that was what I was going to bring up because I think that's the biggest flaw in your theory is we see in time travel Mater when he goes and visits Stanley, and this could be a re-envisioning of that, sure. That at the very least, cars are, old timey in the past, and these
Hmm.
do not look very old timey, specifically the ice cream truck.
And well, to that I would say that well, you look and there's like one just feather headdress on a normal-ish looking car, and then there's the one that's being carried by people, and that could be old timey.
Sure.
But if these people are on the time traveler's side, maybe they're just from the future, and maybe since it's a problem specifically to do with overheating, they called in the experts on too much heat being a bad thing, and that is, of course, their good friend, Ice Cream Man, Mister
Mis-
Iceman,
Mr. Freezy Boy. I feel like there
Mister
was.
Cold Boy, Coldy,
Hey,
Goldilocks.
it's okay, bud. No,
He's
hey,
Goldilocks.
you did your best. Goldilocks is actually pretty good. Dang it. Uh, I feel like there was. This doesn't matter. I feel like there was an ice cream truck and monster truck mater in the wrestling one. I'm not going to go do the research to find that, but maybe these are just some of the folks from Monster Truck Mater. Or I'm going to take your theory and tweak it just a little bit
Mm-hmm.
and say, we're not in the past, my friend. We're in the future. And
Okay.
boy, climate change has not been kind to Arizona.
Hoo boy. I mean, it's not.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of the beginning and end of my theory is no, this is just Radiator Springs. They're located in a place that climate change will devastate.
Mm-hmm. I mean, don't get us wrong, it will devastate everywhere,
Yeah,
but there are some areas it's going to affect really, really strongly, really soon, and Arizona is one of those places.
cool. Yeah, and I mean, I know that I'm just leaning into Mad Max because Mad Max is a dystopian future, but I don't know. If we can go to the past, we might as well also go to the future.
Mm-hmm. And in the future, gives them more opportunity to, of course, have themselves modified for war.
I really want to talk about the car that's being carried by four small cars.
All right. So, bold choice that they made with this character. And I'm not talking about the possible implications of Native American heritage. They gave this character, for some reason, separated teeth, which
Huh.
is a rare trait.
Usually only seen in one tomater. Yeah.
Hmm. There are a few,
Yeah, of course there are more than one
but
of them.
it tends to be that every car has just the bars of teeth, and this one has a divide right down the middle. Now, what does that mean? Who's to say? But in Mater's case, it is meant to imply that he is a lovable goofball, and this character is definitely not that.
Yeah, I think we once said that the articulated teeth gave Mater his powers, or he had the articulated teeth because of his powers. Probably the second one.
Hmm.
Uh, so,
And I think we even found other characters with articulated teeth, and the whole point was yeah, they are the divine beings. And being carried by four smaller vehicles because you are the divine being with separated teeth makes sense.
yeah, I kind of actually love that. Now, my biggest thing with this is I think they're probably carrying them in the same way like royalty would be carried on a rickshaw.
Hmm.
But I don't see in this art any tires on the car that's being carried,
There are lines that could be tires.
but they could also be wheel wells, like where a
Yep.
tire should be.
And those lines do go into the vehicles that are carrying this other vehicle.
So my thought is I'm deeply worried that they're all mechanically one being. Well, the four
Oh,
cars that they've all been wired together and these four small cars are serving as the wheels for the big divide car.
okay. I thought that it was just going to be this car doesn't have wheels or tires and had to be carried. But no, you think they have been automobile centipeded.
I kind of think that, man, because it goes with like the weird wild body modifications.
Okay. Uh, I was going to just talk about the fact that that is the only character that seems to have a bored expression.
Yeah.
Uh, but let's get into that. Why would they be sewn together?
I mean, again, this is the character who seems to be in charge. They
Mm-hmm.
have the headdress of some sort that implies that they also seem bored, like you said, which gives to me sort of an observer status almost more than a participant. So I don't know. Maybe this is just how they're expressing that is that they've got four little servants who have been mechanically attached to them where there would be wheels.
Okay. So, because they are the observer,
Yeah. Oh, the
they have
Watcher, perhaps.
decided, because they are the watcher, they have decided what I want to do with that is have people sewn to me because I can.
Yeah, I mean, rich people are wild, man. I don't know.
Yeah, fair enough.
And like, I think it would be a little different in the Cars verse. It would still be wildly, wildly horrific, but like in a different and I'd say lesser way than it would for us.
Yeah. And it's not like butt to mouth, so that's good because they don't have to eat the poop.
And like, if we are sticking with squishy bit theory, it's like their exosuits have been combined. Like, it's
Hmm.
not, and like their exosuits are very much part of them in a way that I think they are not uh, unaware or don't care about, but like would probably care a little less about than the actual physical squishy bit body of theirs.
Hmm. So it's like us in high school when we were a two-headed presenter.
Man, I was thinking about the talent show earlier this week. That was a weird, weird wild time.
For those of you who don't know what we're talking about, in high school there was a talent show, and Lucas and I decided that we were going to be the hosts of the talent show, and then we were, and we did weird little gags in between every performance.
Some of them got laughs, many did not.
I would say all of them got laughs. One of them only got pity laughs.
Yeah, the timing joke, mm, whatever.
Yep. It's a great joke, not in that format.
No, it didn't do well. It didn't do well. Uh, that's okay. But if you're wondering, maybe the start of us as a comedic duo, I guess. I don't know. You could say it was our senior talent show,
Yep. Yep.
which they should not have let us host. Uh, just
But I'm so glad they did.
full stop. I think what made me think about it was my senior year yearbook fell out of my closet the other day, and I went and looked through it, and I found that page, and the caption of the photo of us was something along the lines of Lucas Southworth and John Bishop hosted the event. They were very entertaining, with just a period at the end, which did not seem very genuine to me, which I enjoyed quite a bit.
Yeah. All right. Okay, so how many people do we think we're going to witness the deaths of? Because at first you might think, of course they're not going to show people dying. But then Cars 2
Cars
did
2,
happen,
man. Like,
and you saw a lot of people die. You even saw a very, very crushed dead body at one point.
yeah, like a lot of them they cut away for, but that one they just showed a horrific corpse for. And like,
And let's not forget that moment where an entire like corkscrew road piece was exploded, and you got to watch them all individually explode.
yeah, I don't know, man, cuz like I agree that in this concept art, it would be kind of I would be mad if they got all dressed up in their Mad Max gear and then Lightning or Mater was just like, "Wait, we should find a peaceful solution." Cuz like, I don't know, don't give me Mater with a flail and expect me to be cool with not seeing him use it.
Sure, you can make this a Chekhov's gun situation, but you better use that by the end of the show.
Yes, absolutely.
Mater's flail better be used on someone at some point. Even if it's like a comedic thing, you can't just have a flail there attached to Mater and it not do something.
I mean, honest to God, my dream for this, my like top tippity top, like this is everything I've achieved, is like invincible levels of gore. Like I want to see Lightning drive under like a monster truck with his bladed mohawk and cut them just tip
Clean in
tip to
half.
tip.
Hmm.
Like that's what I want from this that I know won't happen.
Mm-hmm. Well, uh, I don't know if I think that. And the worst part is, like you mentioned that, and you look at his design, and if you've seen BattleBots, you've seen this design. It's a ramp. So what it looks like, it's he is designed to run into people, ramp them up his body, and then cut them in half. Mater
I
seems
mean,
to have some sort of weird like bolts on the front of him that he's supposed to ram people with. And then of course the flail and the flamethrower. And even if the violence is limited to something as simple as, oh, they blow the heat on people and those people overheat and have to stop, that's something. I'm okay as long as like people get flamethrowered, but that flail better at least hit lightning as a joke.
yeah, as an accident. Like,
Like Mater's just playing around with it and he's like, oh, look at this. And he's like flinging it and it just gets stuck right into Mater. Not Mater, lightning. That'd be good enough for me.
yeah, like that would also be good enough for me. I again know that they're not going to just show absolute decimation and despair. Uh,
Yeah, like Mater's not going to run into someone and then swing the thing really, really fast and then smash in someone's skull and we get to see the squishy bit. That's not going to happen. Be cool if it did, though.
yeah, that is on my Christmas list. Christmas is coming up, Santa. So if you can just go add a scene in, two
Real
cars
quick.
on the road.
The more you say that name, the more disappointed I am with that name.
Yeah, I really don't like it. Like
Cars
even
that
just,
drive.
I would have almost preferred Cars the series. You
Mm-hmm.
know, I don't know. I don't think it's as bad as we're making it, but like I don't know. It's just kind of boring for the images we got. You know.
Cars the Adventure, the series Nights.
Ooh, that's something. Okay.
Okay. Do we think it's do we think that like the episode where he's being chased by Big Wheel is going to be a supernatural themed episode?
Do we think that they're hunting
Yeah.
the big man?
A Scooby
I
Doo or a supernatural in which they're hunting or just trying to trap Bigfoot.
okay. Trying to trap, I could get behind. Well, again, I would love it if they were like, yes, Lightning and Mater are trying to murder this being, but
And they have this weird like
they have a flail and a flamethrower or something. I don't know, man. Yeah, I would really dig if they were trying to find Big Wheel, and I think that would be a really good opportunity for them to introduce one Dusty Cropper,
mhm.
because who knows? Maybe in this universe, Big Wheel lives in, I can do it, Piston Peak National Park, which is the setting of Play It's Fire and Rescue. My brain has been broken by this horrible series. Because I think that they're gonna bring in some Plains characters, man.
Okay, fair enough. I don't see it not happening.
Yeah. Do we want to do a sort of wish list for this series now that we know how wild we can reasonably get with it? Like, I think we probably did some sort of version of this back when it was first announced, but I
Mhm.
bet it was just stuff like, oh, the Plains characters appear or something. And now I think we can get a bit more get
Buck
more
Wild?
wild with our wants.
All right. So once for the episodes we already know that are coming out, I want to see someone be brutally murdered.
Yeah, I want to see a car die. I do.
I want there to be something that is just a little bit too explicitly sexual.
Sure, that works
I
for
don't know
me.
what that would be,
I don't either,
and
man.
like trying to define what I've just said is gonna ruin it for me. I just want that to happen at some point. Like I'm gonna be watching it and I want to like spit out some coffee because like how dare they include this in this show?
A sort of "Are you sure?" moment, if you will. Uh,
Like even if it's something only as bad as Ramon clearly showing off his taint.
yeah, something like that. I could dig that. I think. for the again episodes that have some concept art, I would love a pterodactyl that has just articulating wings as opposed to plain wings. Like
Fair enough, because
something
that seems to be what they're doing with dinosaurs. Is that, oh, it's just dinosaurs.
it's just a dinosaur that's a robot. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's not a car. It's a robot dinosaur. And that would be a step above the robo dinosaurs we get even
Mm-hmm.
is to just be like, "Oh no, this one can generate enough lift by flapping its wings like a bird."
Yes, this steel monstrosity has flap wings.
In terms of episodes we haven't seen, I this one isn't even that wild, but I would love just like an old western style episode. That just sounds kind of fun to me, quite frankly.
And when we get that,
Yeah, like
what I
that's
need is for someone to have a revolver.
yeah, some more guns would be good. I'll throw guns into my wish list. Uh, I would also love some sort of okay. Here's one I'll do: a crossover with a non-Cars series, like some explicit reference to like Star Wars or the Marvel universe, or even like a Disney movie or another Pixar movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I want just an explicit reference, even if it's like, oh, I love watching Car Wars on the movie screen or something like that. Like, I want something just like weirdly explicit.
I know this is a dumb complaint, especially at this point in our lives.
Yeah.
But like, Car Wars would just be like saying Human Wars.
No, I know, man, but like they do
I
that
know
kind
it's
of
Star
pun all the
Wars.
time.
They do. But like, I want to watch Wars, the show.
Star Cars? That's no better.
Like, here's the thing: if they have Star Wars in Cars, I'm sure they're gonna call it Car Wars. I'm sure of that.
Yeah.
I'm just upset about it.
No, that's fair enough, man. That's that's fair. You got another one?
I want to see Stitch.
Oh, from Lilo and Stitch?
Mm-hmm. I want to see Stitch. Just Stitch.
No, that one's pretty good. That one's pretty wild. I'm gonna live with just not even a car version of Stitch. You just want experiment 626 to show up.
Mm-hmm. Because he had a thing back in the day where they were like advertising for Lilo and Stitch, and the whole thing was, oh look, it's Stitch in other properties.
No, yeah, they did a bunch of crossovers with the Lilo and Stitch cartoon. Like, let's
Mm-hmm.
see.
There's a Kim Possible episode,
Kim
like
Possible.
crossover.
I want to
The
say
Proud Family.
Proud Family and American Dragon Jake Long, maybe
Yep.
also.
So they already went wild once. Why not do it again?
You know what? Sure, I love it. Why not?
So yeah, I want to see Stitch from Lilo and Stitch.
Okay, I've got one. I want there to be car versions of Owen Wilson and Larry the Cable Guy. Not not Lightning and Mater, obviously. I want Lightning and Mater to meet carified versions of Owen Wilson and Larry the Cable Guy.
All right. I can dig
I
it.
I don't have any idea what happens next. That's up for the folks in the script department. I'm the idea man.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So yeah, that's gonna happen. Yep.
Like I don't
With all the power
again
we have, we're gonna make that happen.
again after the concept images, that doesn't even seem that wild to me.
It
Them
really
doing
doesn't.
that.
It's wild that doesn't seem wild, but yeah, that is a real possibility.
Jeez. Jeez. Hey, John, do you know what we should do for more content, or should we just make it a short episode?
I don't know. We could go more into it, but I think a short episode's fine.
Okay, that sounds good to me. Again, like there was a lot to talk about, but it was 3 pieces of concept art.
Mm-hmm.
So we did our best. Thank you so much for listening to our best. which I think's pretty good. But still, thank you for listening to it. We do very much appreciate it. If you want to send us your thoughts on cars on the road, we would genuinely love to hear them. We want to hear your wish list, your predictions, your things you don't want, your thoughts on the concept art. We want to hear it all because there's definitely stuff we didn't think of in this episode. So if you want to send us that, please do it to our email, which is thekachat@gmail.com, or tweet at us and to give us a quick follow on Twitter at thekachat. Both of those are all one word, there's no hyphen in there. Now, if I were a betting man, I'd bet on John doing his part of the outro right now.
Remember to like, comment, subscribe, tell anyone, everyone you think might be a little bit interested in the Kooky Crazy Little Podcast. Rate and review, because that's the thing you could actually do that would actually be pretty helpful. And until next time, remember to float like a Cadillac.
And sting like a beamer.
Time